Gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are live. We are back finally behind the mics. It's been a little bit. It's summertime. What do you expect? But we have a special guest tonight. I was reached out to by Plain Pod fan and Ray Ruth, and they wanted this young man to get on and speak with us. Hey, it's the Cregger. He's with us tonight to talk some Maple Leafs, some hockey, and tell some stories. And of course, I got my co-host, P434, Mr. Dylan Fournier. But the floor is yours, the Cregger. How's it going, my friend? Excited to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be on there. I'm glad you guys actually, my cousin Leanne in Strathmore, Ontario, talked to me today about being on here. And anyway, let's get right down to the Maple Leafs.
Hey, you know what? You control it. You rock and roll. We'll roll through the topics, but you go ahead. You want to jump in on the Leafs? Let's roll. Let's roll.
I think they have to get rid of one of the core four if they ever want to win a Stanley Cup. And I think the guy that has to go is Nylander. Like, do you watch the Maple Leafs? Like, sometimes it's where he's off his game some games, and then other times he's on his game.
Yeah.
Like, he does nothing. Like, he does he does something one game, and the other games he does nothing. Like, there's gotta be a reason why he does that, And the other thing is, where are they in the playoffs? Where are those guys in the playoffs? Like, you see them do stuff great. They're great during the regular season, but come playoff time, they do nothing. Like,
Well, I will say this playoff. If you look at William Nylander this playoffs, he did actually, kind of put the team on his back a little bit, scored a couple key goals, and same with Mitch Marner. But I will say, I agree with you. Through the regular season, there are nights that we perceive William Nylander to take nights off or not put in 100% effort. But I mean, that is the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to William Nylander, right? Because you know you're going to get goals from him, you know you're going to get points from him, and you know he's going to be able to help your team. But then you have to take the ugly and the bad with him as well, because he's not going to back check. He's not going to be physical. Those things are not there for him.
I think he lets up off the gas a little bit. Just one of your favorite sayings there. He doesn't put the foot to the metal there at all at times, and it's frustrating when he's going for a puck in the corner and he's not battling with his full heart.
Now, I want to ask you, Mister, what do you think of the moves that were made this offseason by the Toronto Maple Leafs? I want to hear the Cregger's thoughts, because we brought in some pretty good guys, some guys that add a little bit of snarl and a little bit more substance to this roster. Guys like the Reeves, guys like Bertuzzi, guys like Domi, that finally can add a little bite to this roster. What does the Cregger think of the additions the Maple Leafs made? Do you approve or not?
Well, I like the Ryan Reeves pickups as well, but I mean, is he a fighter or is he a goal scorer? And
he's a fighter. He's a mucker for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing is they brought in that Klemberg on the fence. Now, I want to know, is he going to help the team on the fence? Because I think we're kind of a little short on the fence this year, because we lost Justin Hull to the Detroit Red Wings, and I don't know if you go back. How old are you? Like, what's your age?
I'm 37. Dylan's a baby though. Dylan's only 20 something.
Yeah. So were you around when Larry Murphy got traded from Toronto to the Red Wings?
I wasn't fully cognizant of what hockey was at that point. I wasn't as invested as I am now, shall I say.
Okay.
I know it happened, but I wasn't it didn't strike me as something that kind of hurt my feelings, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And the Max Domi, I hope it does work out, but The other thing is he's been on how many teams has he went from? He was in Arizona,
Yep.
Montreal,
Yep. Dallas,
Columbus,
Carolina, Dallas,
and Carolina.
Yep.
Carolina, Chicago.
Oh, yes.
Dallas, and now Toronto. So there's got to be a reason why he's getting moved around so much, Like,
well, at least for
point.
2 of those teams, I can't speak for them all, but at least for 2 of those teams in Carolina and the Dallas Stars, I think it was more of a cap squeeze kind of thing where he didn't get re-signed. He signed in Chicago for that small money because they knew they'd be able to move him at the trade deadline. And again, even with the Toronto Maple Leafs, Domi wanted a long-term contract, but the Leafs said no, 1 year for now. And the only reason why they did that is we all know they have some big guys who need some big money coming up, and they need to make sure that every dollar can be allocated to Matthews and Nylander. But to your point, yes, he's been around a lot of different teams, but every single team, if you ask anyone around that team, they love him. They love what he brings in the room. He breaks up all the tension. He's a joker in the room, has a lot of fun in the room. So he could be a guy, along with Reeves, that really breathes life into this kind of stagnant room where these guys are known to hang out in their hotel rooms on the road. They don't go out and hang out with each other. Yeah. So maybe now this allows those things to happen and start rolling the right way. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. Definitely agree with you.
The other thing is, what about goaltending? Are you little? I'm tell you the truth. My opinion, James and Dylan. My opinion, I think goaltending is a little iffy. Now, I'm still waiting to hear how Samsonov did at arbitration. Like, is he gonna stay with the Leafs, or is he gonna go?
Well, the arbitration numbers just came out. The Leafs came in at 2.4, was it?
Yep.
And I think that he came in at 4.9.
Yep.
And obviously, with any arbitration, you find common middle ground. The arbitrator will do that, and he'll take arguments from both sides. I see him being paid around 3.25, 3.5, maybe on a 2 to 3 year deal, which is fine. And then you have Wool as your backup, which is, I mean, for once, and DeGregor, you've been around the Leafs a long time. You're one of your teams. I know Detroit had a little bit of love in there too for you. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the Leafs have had trouble drafting and developing goaltenders.
Yep.
And they finally have one in Joe Wool. So I really think they do want to bring him along. And I do think that he should be given the opportunity to be the backup to Ilya Samsonov.
My opinion, Matt Murray. No. Did they have a guy that they got from Sweden, Eric?
Kallgren. Eric Kallgren is now a New Jersey Devil.
Oh, yes. He is. I thought he stayed. I thought somebody said
he signed in the offseason or as a free agent over there. Unfortunately,
okay.
I like him too.
See, the problem is this new GM. I think he's got a lot. So let's just finish with the goaltending scenario at first. It's Matt Murray was a big joke by signing him last summer. I couldn't believe it. He's hurt all the time. The last 2 years he had it. It was Pittsburgh when he went back-to-back Stanley Cups. It's ridiculous that Kyle Dubas would bring him in and he was hurt half of the year.
Yep.
And I mean, why would you do that? So stupid. It doesn't make sense. Dubas. I don't know. I didn't like. What the thing they should have did. They should have kept Mark Hunter as a general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs because I think he would did a lot more than Mark Hunter did. Look, hey Dylan, you're in London, right?
Yeah. Well, I know the system here.
Look what Mark Hunter did with the London Knights. How many teams went to the NHL? Max Domi, Corey Perry, Dave Bolin, Patrick Kane, Marner.
Tkachuk.
Yeah. He's kind of an idiot, but
they breed him here, man. And we just drafted Easton Cowan too, which I think was a big surprise. But yeah, no, I get your point. I think last year Dubas kind of took a risk on 2 goalies, and Matt Murray was one of those risks that if it hit, it was going to be a good risk. And it was kind of the same thing with Samsonov because the Capitals gave up on him and he was kind of left in the waters of, am I still able to prove that I am a good goalie at a young age? And frankly, he stepped up to the plate last year. And I think that's kind of where we're at, obviously. But I did hear that Elliot Freeman had a video come out that Matt Murray's situation is either going to be bought out or traded, I think, as far as I know.
Matt Murray, from what I'm understanding, he's too injured to be bought out.
Yes.
I think the lingering concussion issues will allow him to be the newest bag-packing member of Robidas Island.
Yeah.
He will be over there hanging out with Joffrey Lupul and Mr. Stefan Robida. But to touch on what you were saying, Gregor and Dylan, listen, it was a high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
If Matt Murray was able to perform, which when he was in the net for the Maple Leafs, wasn't always an egregious situation. It was pretty darn good, if you ask me. There was times where he didn't look great, and that's usually when he got injured and was gone for a while. But when he was in between the pipes, he gave them adequate goaltending. I'm not going to say great. I'll say adequate goaltending, which you look at some of the teams that have won the Cups lately, it's not superstar goaltenders.
No.
Outside of Andrei Vasilevsky, it's Darcy Kempfer, it's Aiden Hill. It's a guy who can give you league average goaltending or a little bit better. Not superstar, but it's the defense in front of him, which, hey, the defense for the Toronto Maple Leafs got Jack Campbell paid, by the way.
Yeah.
$5 million per year. If you look at the defensive metrics for the Toronto Maple Leafs, one of the top teams in the league for shot block, shot suppression, all that other kind of stuff. So it's obviously they're helping the goaltenders, which helps Ilya Samsonov, which brings it back full circle, which also helps the Maple Leafs in their arbitration case in saying it's not all on the goaltender. Here's our examples. But yes, I will say Matt Murray was a risk. They tried it. It didn't work, but there's ways out of it. And looks like they may be able to LTIR their way out of this one right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to ask the Kreger about Matthews and Nylander. What do you think? What would you pay William Nylander? What would your bottom dollar be for William Nylander?
I wouldn't pay him a lot because if he's not, you know what? If they want to keep him around, he's got to do something. He's got to, he's got to do something every single game. Like I see Marner, Matthews. I know Matthews was hurt this year, right? A little bit.
Yep. A little bit. I think it was at the beginning of the season, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I know Matthews was hurt a little bit this year, and Marner, he does a lot better than Nylander. I like Marner because he's a good hockey player, and but Matthews was hurt this year, and I mean the year before he won the Hart Trophy. So anyway, can I show you guys something?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, look at that.
So this is what I got. I told you I work at the grocery store in Tilbury.
Yep.
So I got this from my bosses for being at my job for 20 years at Tilbury Foodland.
Nice.
And
that's awesome. Beautiful.
This is what they wrote on the back. Congratulations, Kreger. You're a great worker and an even better friend. Here's to 20 years and 20 more. Sincerely, your brothers, Brent Brandon.
That's awesome. That's a great little.
Always good to get some recognition like that. That's very cool, man.
I'll show my mom. We're talking now. Okay, let them ask questions. All right. So look at that.
Right. Well, listen, I want to say one thing before we get rolling again. I do know that it was your birthday last Friday, so I want to give you a happy belated birthday and say, hey, thanks for joining us on this show. We're not done yet, but I want to say happy birthday to you because obviously birthdays are super important.
Absolutely.
So happy birthday to you, my friend.
Birthday.
Thank you. Do you guys do Facebook?
I think Dylan does. I don't. I'm not.
I do a little bit, yeah.
No, I'm a Facebook nut. So this,
Oh no problem.
I'll make sure I post this up on Facebook for you too. No worries. I want to ask you a question though. Your mom said that there was a prior love to another team called the Detroit Red Wings. What happened there, and then what got you over to the Leafs?
Well, the thing that got me like in the Leafs because Mike Babcock went to the Maple Leafs.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
When he went from the Red Wings to the Maple Leafs, he that's why I went from Detroit to Toronto because because he went there, but it's obviously it didn't really work out because he kind of treated his players like garbage.
Yeah.
You got to make
for
sure
what
you
he
treat
did,
them good.
For what he did to Marner, he put Marner under the bus, right?
Yeah, well, that wasn't a very good situation, and I know for a fact that you are probably 100 times the coach Mike Babcock is behind the bench.
Me?
Yeah.
Yes. Treat your people right, talking to them right. That picture you just showed us there with the insignia on the back there and what they said about you, that's what you want. You want people to work with you and you want to work with people, and that's exactly what it sounds like you do. So I think you would be a mentor to a guy like Mike Babcock who kind of, like you said, put guys underneath the bus.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What do you think about him becoming a new head coach in Columbus?
I don't know. I just hope he doesn't do the same thing he did in Toronto.
Absolutely. Yeah, Columbus has a lot of young guys, so I hope he's learned his lesson and he doesn't duplicate that again.
So I want to ask this question here for you. I heard there's a story about Brad Richards.
Yeah.
And you had like an all-timer of a chirp. I want to hear this story. I want to hear it in its fullness from you.
Well, we have a local guy, Steve Ott from Stony Point. He was playing Dallas. And we went to Dallas. It was in 2009. We went and saw 3 hockey games. St. Louis, Anaheim, Pittsburgh. And we're going through the dressing rooms, and Brad Richards was watching a replay from when Calgary beat Tampa Bay beat Tampa. And Tampa Bay, Calgary. And I says, "Hey, Richards, get over it. You're not Tampa Bay anymore. You're Dallas Star."
What was his reaction to that? Did he say anything to you? Or?
No.
No, he gave you a look, maybe?
His mouth dropped. So
I heard James Neal was cracking up, though.
Yeah.
That's
James Neal like that one. That's funny one.
So when you went to the games, the basketball games and everything like that, obviously you said Steve Ott brought you down. Were you hanging out with Steve Ott? Did you get to chum it up with him a little bit, ask him some questions?
We got to like hang around with him like downstairs after the hockey games and that. So
yeah,
but not really. Like we just kind of went to the practice and then dressing room. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now I know that your mom said that you've met a lot of NHL players. So the question I got to ask is, who is your favorite person that you've met so far, or maybe just a favorite person you get to interact with that really is, just a class act, so to speak?
Gretzky. Yeah.
Yeah. Is he very talkative, or is he just like takes a lot of time to listen and hang out? And
well, we didn't talk to him very much. We just talked to him like for a little bit. So
yeah.
Did you get anything autographed from him?
Right here.
Oh wow! Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice. Who's the Oilers jersey behind you?
Grant Fuhr.
Nice.
There you go. Grant Fuhr is the ultimate comeback artist when it comes to social media too. That guy right there has some zingers, and from what I hear, he used to have some zingers on the ice as well.
Yeah.
So when you're going around, you're doing your hockey stuff. I mean, I've heard that you've been around the game of hockey forever, since the age of 5. For you, what is your favorite part of hockey? Is it the coaching aspect? Is it getting to go to the rink? Some people say just the smell, no matter what kind of rink they go, just the smell of the rink really draws them in. What is it for you that really draws you into hockey? Obviously the games, but there's got to be more to that. What is it that draws you in?
To go into the games every week. You're saying
Yep.
like going to my hockey games and that?
Yeah, what
and-
draws you? What makes you a fan of hockey? What drives
What makes you
about it?
love hockey?
Well, I just like watching it. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, being around the guys. Like, there were a lot like the guys on Thursdays, Sundays, and Tuesdays. They're like my brothers a little bit
Nice.
because we go along with each other. But if I see they're not playing right, I'll tell them play better, play harder,
Yeah,
like push yourself.
absolutely.
Yeah. Do not take your foot off the gas. Right. That's your saying. Right.
Yeah.
So I can really push it to them. So you're watching a game, and somebody's not doing something, and you're behind the bench. What's your approach? We talked about Mike Babcock's approach. What's your approach? What does the Kreger do to get everybody fired up behind the bench and going for the
God,
next
they
shift?
play harder. Like,
Yeah.
So,
Give it all you got.
yeah.
Give it all you got. All right. I want to ask you about this past season about the Toronto Maple Leafs. So obviously, for the first time in a very, very long time, the Maple Leafs have made it to the second round. And you were talking about Sheldon Keefe before we came on. So what do you think for this season coming up for Sheldon Keefe? What does he need to do differently to be able to get this team to the promised land, whether it's the conference finals or the Stanley Cup finals? What does Sheldon Keefe need to do, and what advice can the Kreger give Sheldon Keefe to get the Maple Leafs going?
They need to get past the second round. If you want to go to the Stanley Cup, you gotta get past the second round. That's always the toughest. You know, like I was just happy they got past the first round this year. If they would never got past Tampa Bay, you know, I mean, Tampa Bay was a great hockey club, but you know how many Stanley Cup final appearances, 3 in a row the last couple of years, like, and then won the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row, back to back, and won in the finals and lost. So I'm just happy they beat Tampa because that was the step they needed to do to get past, like to you know, they need to get past the first round. Now they need to get past the second round to get to the Stanley Cup finals. And you have to realize you have to get past the second round to get the third round and then win the third round and to go to the Cup finals. You're not going to going to the Stanley Cup if you get past those 3 rounds, you know, like, you know.
Totally. Do you think that when they faced off against Florida that they really underestimated them in the second round because Florida came out flying?
Yeah.
Now, what do you think of that series? Did you like the grit and the grind that Florida was punching against Toronto? And like, do you think that Toronto didn't respond properly to all the grit that was coming at them? Or how do you feel about that? Do you think that they should have responded better?
Are you talking the Florida series?
Yes, the Florida series.
The Florida series. I thought Florida's goaltending was a little bit better because, and then they had like Florida had a lot of good players like Brendan Montour, you know, Matthew Tkachuk, you know, and we needed, you know, we didn't play up to our caliber, you know, like that was the problem, you know.
100%.
Now, what do you think of Austin Matthews? I think in the first round, he kind of bummed up his wrist, you know, tussling with Steven Stamkos. He wasn't the same in the second round himself. What was your view on Austin Matthews' game in the second round?
I mean, he was okay, but not the way he was last year, like in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
You know, he was probably hurt, you know, and it's probably had a hard time, you know. So,
for you, when you look at this Maple Leafs team, what is your favorite kind of guy on this squad? For me, I look at guys like John Tavares and TJ Brody. I love the leadership. I love the quiet kind of style. I love the guys who go about their business and just get it done. With TJ Brody, obviously, he's good on defense, good at breaking up plays. Little lackluster last year, slowed down a little bit. But I like those kind of guys. What kind of guys is a Kreger like on the Maple Leafs?
I like John Tavares, really. And I like TJ Bray, but I think his time's almost running out, like he's getting older,
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think of Morgan Riley's performance in the playoffs? I think he really stepped it up to the plate in the playoffs, if you're asking me. And I think he was really the one shining star that wasn't shining last year.
He's got to do better. He did good, but he's got to do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to be a number one defenseman or looked at as a number one defenseman on
Absolutely.
a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs, you should be carrying your team at the bare minimum on the back end for your power play and driving points. So, yeah, I agree with you, Craig. That's the way it should be for Morgan Riley. I want to ask you this. A guy like Mark Giordano obviously won the shot block of the year award. He was the guy who got the most shot blocks, got the gold plaque. But in the playoffs, he looked like he as well was a guy who kind of took a step back and was a little bit slower. What are your thoughts on Mark Giordano? And do you think the Leafs maybe should give him a few nights off this season, even if he doesn't want it?
I think he's kind of getting older,
Yeah.
They should give him some nights off. I mean, I don't know. Like, they gotta go younger, I mean, is John Tavares' career going to be over soon too?
I mean, look at Johnny T. He's almost still a point per game player, though. I mean, you can't really slight him for that. I mean, there's not very many guys that are close to a point per game in the NHL. And I do agree with you. His foot speed may not be the same that it used to be, and it never was that fast to begin with. But he's got 2 years left on the $11 million deal. I think he will re-sign with the Maple Leafs at a lower cap hit, kind of like an Anze Kopitar type of deal. But, I don't think his career is over, but I do think it's in the twilight, and I do think that you're right. He will start to dip a little bit in production, and you'll have to get him to a lower deal, for sure. But you know what? He brings it every night. He's one guy that that does not take a night off.
I wanted to ask you now, for the last few years, we've seen the likes of Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander all come up and obviously get their bigger contracts. But I wanted to get your opinion on Matthew Knies. What do you think of him coming out of college and stepping right into the playoffs as a Leaf?
Well, I think he has to realize if he wants to be in an NHL, he's got to suck it up a little bit. He got hurt in the playoffs, and it was too bad that he got hurt because, I mean, there's a guy that, he could be on the team next year if, with some of these guys leaving this year, like Kerfoot's gone, right? I didn't,
Yep.
I wasn't too happy. I wasn't too sure about him,
I'm not a big fan of him.
And then
Dylan says he falls down all the time with Kerfoot.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then I'm not really too. I wasn't too happy. Bunting left. I wasn't too happy about that.
I was,
think
but I
Bunting,
wasn't.
you
at the
talk
same
about guys who kind of stayed their due or whatever. I think Bunting's time with Toronto was done.
With Toronto, I think that the spotlight was a little too hot on him, especially when he ran his mouth with the referees there.
But I do think that they addressed that, absence, so to speak, for the roster by bringing in guys like Domi and Bertuzzi, who really can, probably play Domi for sure, a more skilled game. A lot of people might be down on Bertuzzi because he didn't play a full season last year. But the last time that he suited up for more than 60 games, he was pretty much a point per game player. So I'll take that any day of the week on a 30-goal scorer. And I got their upgrades on Bunting. And I mean, Bunting may be more just a product of Austin Matthews and the guys he got to play with, right? So we will see. Greg, I want to ask you, this season for the Maple Leafs, what are you looking forward to the most?
I'm looking forward to seeing what the team's gonna like from last year to this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to see what it's gonna be like this year from last year.
You?
Go ahead, Dilly.
I was gonna say, are you somebody that tends to buy jerseys every year of new players coming in, or are you just kind of wait for the players you like to buy their jerseys?
Well, not really. If my mom
No.
and dad can afford it, because I can't afford it because I'm on a tight income, right? So
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, for
well,
sure.
unless they
Well,
buy it for me for Christmas or my birthday. So
Well, is there any on
Well-
your list then? Are there any jerseys that are on your Christmas
I don't
list or
know.
your birthday list?
Marner Matthews.
Marner Matthews. Nice.
those are great jerseys to have.
Yes.
Great jerseys to have. I got
Well,
one.
maybe now I'm famous. I could get a New Jersey.
Hey, listen, if there's anybody who's listening right now that has a spare Matthews or Marner jersey, link up with us and we'll get it out to the Kreger. As
You want to meet my dad? I-
tell him we say hi for sure.
Yeah.
Listen, we're super pumped that we got to have you on. And like I said, coming into the show here, we would love to get you on again closer to the season, see what the roster actually looks like throughout the season and then going into the playoffs. I'd love to have you back on a few more times, Kreger. It's been great speaking with you. I love the stories. I love chit-chatting. Yeah, just get your mom to reach out any single time, or even yourself if you want to. I know you got Facebook and you're active. Reach out to Dylan. Say, hey, I want to come back on. There's something I want to talk about. And we'll
Yeah,
definitely get you
absolutely.
back on to talk.
Thanks, guys. Do you want to
Thank
talk
you.
a little more? You gotta go.
We're good right here. We wanted to say thank you very much for giving us some time, my buddy. And like I
Okay.
said, we'll talk again. I'd say in September when the roster is a little bit more firm and we
Okay.
know what's going on with the coaching staff too.
Okay, sounds great. Bye. Bye.
All right, guys.
Bye,
There
Kreger.
he is. That's the Kreger. We appreciate him for jumping on. And that's Offside for tonight. Listen, this is Offside Hockey Talk, where the Maple Leafs and hockey come to talk. Boom goes the dynamite. All right, I'm going to end this one.
You're still
Maybe-
live.
I know that didn't work.
Oh.